Now we're going to see the derivative of inverse trigonometric functions. So we have y is equal to sine to the minus 1 of x, y equals to cosine to the minus 1 of x, and y equals to tangent to the minus 1 of x, or arc sine x, arc cosine x, and arc tangent x. Alright, so beginning with the first one, we can put x equal y. So x equal, sine y. In place of differentiation, dx 1. The sine y in dx will be cosine y times dy dx. dy dx is equal to 1 divided by cosine y. Cosine y. Remember, we have the trigonometric identity of square sine y plus square cosine y is equal to 1. So cosine y, well, square cosine y is equal to 1 minus square sine y. So cosine y is equal to square root of 1 minus square sine of y. So dy dx is equal to 1 over square root of 1 minus square sine of y, and sine of y is x. So 1 over square root of x 1 minus x squared. So the derivative of the inverse function of sine x is 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. Now for how we put this one was, let's say, y prime, or dy dx is 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. Now for cosine, we have now x is equal to cosine y, 1 is equal to minus sine y dy dx. Again, dy dx is equal to minus 1 divided by sine y. Here we have square sine of y is equal to 1 minus square cosine of y. So sine y is equal to square root of 1 minus square cosine of y. So here we have dy dx is equal to minus 1 divided by square root of 1 minus square cosine of y. So minus 1 divided by square root of 1 minus cosine y is x, so square x. So here we have y prime is equal to minus 1 divided by square root of 1 minus square x. So they are the same for sine to the minus 1 of x and cosine to the minus 1 of x. The derivative is the same except for the sign. Now for tangent, we have x is equal to tangent of y. So 1 is equal to square secant of y. dy dx, dy dx. Now dy dx is equal to cosine square y. Remember, 1 over secant square y is cosine square y. Now we have cosine square y divided by 1. We have here divided by 1. So we can put it as cosine square y divided by square cosine y plus sine square y. And now we can multiply this by a convenient 1. We have 1 over square cosine y, all divided by 1 over square cosine of y. So cosine y divided by cosine y is 1. From 1, we have dy dx is equal to 1 divided by cosine square y divided by cosine square y is 1 plus sine square y divided by cosine square y is tangent square y. So 1 divided by, what's tangent y? Is x. So 1 over 1 plus square x. So derivative of the inverse function of sine x is 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Derivative of the inverse function of cosine x is minus 1 divided by square root of 1 minus x. And derivative of the inverse function of tangent of x is 1 divided by 1 plus square x.